It's still raining out here, Lisa. We've noticed that this has picked up a lot in the past half hour. Literally 30 minutes ago, we were out here, we were able to walk without having on any type of rain gear whatsoever. In fact, before we were cut off because of the service, I was saying that I spoke to one of the emergency response officials here, and he was running through the parking lot without anything on, any type of protective gear, because we were in a lull for about 2 hours. It seemed as though we were in the clear, and that's why it's so important for you guys not to get on the roads. It may seem like we're out of this storm, but we're not. Clearly, you can see here that the rain is coming down, but Irma is such a large system, as Trevor has been telling us. We're still in this hurricane, so it's not safe to be on the roads right now. And in fact, if you're in Lee County, there's a curfew that's in place until 7 a.m. And if you're caught on the roads by anyone, it's actually a misdemeanor. So I'm sure that's not something anyone wants to deal with on top of everything else that's going on right now. So it's just not worth it. Don't go outside of your homes. If you're in an area where you have a low elevation, if you're in a flood zone, if you're on a coastal area, the barrier islands, those places that were evacuated first, there's still a big concern with storm surge. For you guys, you have to keep that in mind. Don't let your guards down. We are still not in the clear with this. There's the second phase of what we're probably going to be seeing, and that's the flooding. And that's what emergency officials inside are trying to gauge right now, because we don't know just how high the storm surge is going to be. Initially, they were expecting it to be about 10 to 15 feet for coastal areas. That is no longer the case because Irma did make landfall a lot sooner than we expected, and she lost a lot of strength. And so we're not going to see the deadly storm surge that officials were worried about, that 10 to 15 foot storm surge, but there's still going to be storm surge, excuse me. So we have to keep that in mind. Don't leave your homes right now. Stay inside. It's not safe to go outside. If you do want to check on damage to your home, you'll have plenty of time to do so. Now is not the time. We're not in the clear just yet. So stay in emergency mode right now. Don't get comfortable. It's not safe to be out. And if you do have an opportunity to check on family, the best way to do so right now is through text message, because there's so many people making phone calls that it's blocking the traffic right now. And that's probably why we're losing our service. The last 2 times we were talking to you, we froze up, and it's because there's just a lot of people that are on making phone calls, and emergency officials inside are telling us if you're trying to get in contact with loved ones, send them a text message if you can. And if you are in a situation where you need assistance, at the moment, unfortunately, emergency personnel cannot go out onto the roads yet because of the conditions, and that's why they were urging early on that if you were in an evacuation zone to get out, because they knew they would not be able to get to you during this storm or immediately afterward because of just how dangerous the roads are. And I'm told that first thing in the morning, the first thing that they're going to do is check the integrity of the bridges. And from there, they're going to go on and inspect the roads. The first areas that will be cleared are the roads that lead to hospitals, the roads that lead to fire stations, so that emergency personnel can get their work done. And the reason why they're not going out right now is because it's not safe. And so if they're not safe, they're unable to help others. So they're going to wait until they can assess what the roads look like. And we won't be able to know fully until daylight, because there's so many areas that are without power. We are being told that there are over 300,000 people between Collier and Lee County who are in the dark right now, and because of that, a lot of people are worried, and they're calling in to 911, asking questions that may not be anything that's critical or dangerous for them, but they're just curious to know something. If you're one of those individuals, if you just need information, don't call 911. They don't want you to tie up those lines. In fact, I was told, we were actually briefed on this, this came out about 8 o'clock, that there are about 40 people that were put on hold because EMS could not get out to them because of the conditions of the road. So if you are in dire need of assistance, you can still call 911, but your needs will be placed on hold until emergency personnel can safely get out onto the roads. They're expecting that they'll be able to do so as early as tomorrow morning, but again, we're also expecting to see the peak of storm surge begin tomorrow morning. There will be high tide at 6 a.m. and from there we're going to see just we'll begin to see the effects of the storm surge, and we'll have a better idea of just how bad it will be in certain areas. But again, as you see, it's still raining here. It's not safe to be outside, guys. Just try to stay indoors, even if you're in an area where things have died down a bit. Like I was saying, we had about a 2-hour period where it seemed as if everything was fine. There wasn't a lot of wind. There wasn't a lot of rain. I do want to give you guys just an idea of what the winds are like right now. I know Trevor was saying there are several areas that are experiencing tropical storm strength winds. We're going to just kind of pan over and show you the leaves here on the palm trees. They're swaying, but nothing too severe. So we can see that, we are just getting the tropical storm strength winds, but that's still 40-mile-per-hour gusts, which, it's not safe. It's just not good to be out right now. And in addition to that, we may have down power lines that could still be live. That's a concern when you have lots of water on the roads. So that's why they're just saying, it's best to just stay indoors if you can right now. Don't get out onto the roads. In addition to the fact that there could be down power lines, there's raw sewage that could be in the water. There's bacteria. I know Trevor mentioned that, if you're walking around and you may not even notice that you have a cut, that could lead to serious infection. So it's just best if you stay indoors right now. Heed the curfew. Do not leave until 7 a.m. There's no point in doing so. There's nowhere where you can go to any businesses. Everything is closed. From what we're seeing, earlier we were able to move around a little bit more, and nowhere is open. Nowhere has been open for the past 2 days or so. So it's not worth it. Don't go outside. Stay inside if you can. We're going to try to stay out here and just see how the conditions change. So the next time you check in with us, we'll be able to give you a look of what it's like out here. But again, if you think we're out of this, we're not. We still have just the second phase of what Irma could bring our way, and that's the flooding that we're going to have to deal with. So for now, I'm going to send it back to you. We're live in Fort Myers. Deborah Souverain, Fox 4, in your corner.
Deborah, I don't know if you can still hear us, but we do have a couple questions for you. Obviously, it's coming down really hard on you right now. We can see that Trevor did say that there's some tropical storm conditions in that area right now. You're in the Emergency Operations Center. So what's kind of the vibe there with the people, the emergency managers that are in there? I just lost the connection with you guys, Lisa, but I just heard the top half of what you're saying about the tropical storm force winds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to have Kevin relay the question to me. So can you hear them? Okay, so he also lost connection, guys. Again, we're still in this storm, so cell service may go down in certain areas. Unfortunately, I can't hear the question, but I don't know if you're going to ask about the winds. We're definitely seeing that it's coming in waves a bit, bands. We're seeing just gusts of wind, and then it kind of dies down a bit. At certain points, I kind of have to turn around to the side because the wind and the rain starts to come at me so hard that I have to kind of protect myself and turn around. Earlier, we were out here. This is before we went into our mandatory lockdown, which happened around 2:30. And I was out here with Malcolm Johnson, who's another one of our reporters. And the wind almost blew me away. I had to really kind of stabilize myself and plant my feet to the ground to avoid being blown away. And this is far before we were getting those hurricane force winds. This is when we were still in conditions like this. So it's still a critical situation. It's not safe to be outside. And I'm sorry I can't hear what you guys are saying because we lost
the connection. So for now, I'm just going to send it back to you, and I'm going to try to connect back in on this IFB so that I can hear the questions, and hopefully we can get those answered for the viewers so that they can be just up to date on the most recent information. So I'm going to send it back to you guys for now. Live in Fort Myers, Deborah Souverain, Fox 4 in your corner. There goes those wind gusts again that we were talking about. It picks up
goodness, that
out of
wind
nowhere.
Is whipping around there.
Obviously, this is exactly why